Last week, Czech Green Building Council and British Council invited to Prague Mr. Gordon Abbott, important British architect and representative of London-based Pringle Richard Sharatz Architects. Mr. Abbott gave in Prague a VIP workshop for leading Czech architects and developers. After the workshop, he gave us this interview.
When the sustainable building, let's say, awareness started in UK, how it developed in time, and what is the situation now in the UK?
Well, I think it really started during the oil embargo of the 70s, which created a demand and an excitement about it, generated by economic stress. And then I think as that settled down, it moved away, and it's come back up for political reasons and the awareness about climate change, which has caused it to generate. And it's risen steadily over the past, say, 10, 15 years. Breeam was started in 1990. So that's now become a more and more accessible way of measuring whether you are sustainable or not sustainable. And I think now it's reached a reasonable level in the public consciousness and in the commercial industry, depending on which facet you work in. Public bodies are much more aware of it, and commercial organisations like developers I think are starting to realise that it's a valuable tool in selling their products.
So you're saying also that the state structures are starting also to be aware about sustainable building, and are they also sometimes the first one to, I would say, push the limits up to try to show the others that this is possible, opening the door, and of course also taking a lot of, in this case, burden on their shoulders?
Yeah,
Is this happening?
I think that's definitely the case, that the public bodies with public funding see rightly, I think, the responsibility to lead. They have the buildings, they have the property portfolio to allow them to do this, and they have the social responsibility to do it. And they can also maybe they're less pressured by commercial decisions, so they can do things that don't always have to pay back as quickly as a commercial organisation would need them to. So and it's right, and they lead the way. And for instance, some of the projects we've done with Transport for London, they've taken very strong leadership on that and really pushed the agenda.
Okay. Coming back, or still staying with the sustainable building, in time for sure a certain tool was needed on the market to measure what is sustainable building. How did this, I would say, certification systems, etc., how did this evolve during the time, and where is the UK now?
Okay. Well, I think a lot of forward-thinking engineers and architects were already realising that they needed to tackle these issues. And so before the BRE set up their environmental assessment method, which is commonly referred to as Breeam, engineers and architects were working together to do these things. But as you say, they had no rule book, they had no measuring stick. And in the 1990s, Breeam was set up. And that's, in the UK, being the British research establishment, that's kind of led the way. It's supported by a whole range of other bits of legislation. The building regulations are constantly changing to improve thermal performance. There's a European directive that you have to display your energy performance certificate in all public buildings. That's a very good way of showing, in the same way as when you go to the supermarket and buy, or the electrical store and you buy your fridge and it has an A, a B or a C rating, buildings have those same ratings now. So it's becoming more apparent, more obvious, more accessible a way of measuring how you're performing.
And in the UK, the Breeam we were speaking, but is it closed or the open market for the certification systems? It's
open. The Breeam is the most popular because of where we are, the geography. But certain funders require LEED, the American system. So it's an open market. It's not constrained. Whatever the developer thinks or the client thinks is the best way of demonstrating to their market what they're doing.
Thank you very much for an interview.
Thank you very much.
In Prague.
Thank you.